What's up guys, my name is Rock and welcome back to my channel. No Premier League games to preview this weekend as it is the international break, but there is always something to talk about in the world of football. I realized I haven't made any opinion kind of videos about Tottenham until now, and I feel today is the perfect time because yesterday something came out in the papers that made me not only angry but furious about one particular player. I cannot even smile while making this video because I'm still so angry. I get it, it's part of the football world that fans joke about other clubs when they lose, when they sign a player that turns into a total flop and stuff like this. But it's a whole other thing when a player comes out and publicly slate his manager and his club that pays him millions in wages and sign him for a club record of £30 million. Of course, I'm talking about Moussa Sissoko, who had the guts to go to one of the papers in Britain and tell them he threatened Spurs to leave the club unless Pochettino does. I could start ranting right here, right now about how much of a retard he is to think that club will sack Pochettino, but let me go from the beginning and explain why I opposed Sissoko joining the club from the very beginning. First of all, he is a below average player. Prior to his move to Tottenham, Sissoko averaged a goal or an assist every 404 minutes. That means he scored or assisted every fifth game, and that's abysmal for an attacking midfielder. Second of all is his attitude. People said that he didn't play that well because he didn't have much quality at Newcastle and that resulted in his bad stats, and maybe they were kind of right because he did have a fairly decent tournament at Euro last year where he was surrounded by a bunch of stars like Dimitri Payet, Paul Pogba, Antoine Griezmann. Okay, I get it, because at every major international tournament there is one player that afterwards gets sold for an amount of money that he's not worth, like James Rodriguez at 2014 World Cup when Real Madrid bought him for 70 million euros. But this was a different case because James was exceptional at that tournament, and what has Sissoko really done at Euros? Nothing spectacular, to be honest. But for some reason a big part of Tottenham fans thought that he will be a decent addition to our team. Third reason why I opposed his move was his love for the Arsenal Football Club. 2 or 3 years before he joined us, Arsenal were interested in him and he tried to force his way out of the Newcastle, stating, "I love Arsenal, Arsenal are my dream club, I want to join them." A player who supports Arsenal cannot ever play for Tottenham. It's simple as that. And don't you mention Harry Kane, because this is a different story. Harry Kane never, he isn't, and he will never be an Arsenal supporter. Fourth and final reason why I opposed his move was because, simply put, he was a panic buy. Tottenham unexpectedly did their business early in the transfer window. They got the defensive midfielder they needed in Victor Wanyama. They got striker that they needed because they needed a substitute for Harry Kane in Vincent Janssen. I won't talk about how that one turned out. But they needed another versatile player, the type of player Pochettino likes, the type of player that can play across the front three. And much was talked about Tottenham going in for Isco, and I got really excited when Isco was mentioned to Tottenham, but it all fell apart, and then Tottenham went in for Sissoko, who already agreed his personal terms with Everton. It was kind of like Willian to Tottenham story, except we were the bad guys in this one. And we stole him from Everton. It was the first move I didn't want Tottenham to make, because when your club is linked with a certain player, it is because this player would make your club better and you want your club to make this move. I didn't want Tottenham to sign Sissoko because he's a below average player, as I said, and people were fooled by his performances at Europe. I remember sitting in my room looking at the clock, praying to God like, let the deadline be over, don't let Tottenham sign Sissoko, but there was already a picture of him holding our shirt, and people were like saying to me, why do you hate Sissoko so much, why don't you rate him? And I told him I cannot support a twat that supports Arsenal, and I cannot give him a chance, he will disappoint you, just wait and see. And I remember people that remembered me going crazy after we signed him. Those people were coming back to me every time he made a nice dribble, he assisted a goal, and they were telling me he will come good for us, he's a decent player. Well, how should I put it? Those people were, as Donald Trump would say,
absolutely wrong.
I should mention that he does have 4 assists for us, which means he now averages a goal or an assist every 250 minutes that he plays, which is still a very bad stat. And now let me a bit further explain why I hate Moussa Sissoko. His situation at Tottenham is similar to the one that Ben Davies is in, Kieran Trippier is in. There is a certain player, Danny Rose and Kyle Walker, or even Eriksen, Ali and Heung-min Son, that are better than in their position. But the difference is Ben Davies and Kieran Trippier, they do not complain. They work hard, they wait for their chance, and Pochettino claimed that Ben Davies is the ultimate professional. You put in work in the training ground and you might get the chance. If you don't, you won't get the chance. As some reports suggest, Moussa Sissoko is the laziest player in Tottenham's squad, and Pochettino hates laziness. Another thing would be if he was as good as Eriksen, Ali and Son, and he would demand first team and more minutes, then I would understand why he is unsettled and wanted to leave. But this is not the case. It was the case with Gylfi Sigurdsson and Nacer Chadli. Both were good enough to be playing in the first team, but it would be unfair to drop any of the front three that we had at that time. And when they left, Chadli to West Bromwich and Sigurdsson to Swansea, they left without any grudges, and I think that about 85% of Spurs fans would welcome both Chadli and Sigurdsson back in a heartbeat. When Sissoko will leave, nobody will ever say, oh, I want Sissoko back. So yeah, I get it. Sissoko, you're unhappy because you're not playing. Go to the manager and demand more minutes all you want, but give him the reason to give you more minutes. If you don't perform in trainings, if you don't perform when you get the chance 20, 15, 10 minutes, don't expect to have your minutes further increased. And when you don't have your minutes further increased, don't be a fucking pussy and start saying bad things about the manager and the club. Be quiet. If you want to leave, you will leave. We don't need players like you to cause problems at the club. Problems are the least that we need right now. We are hoping to catch Chelsea in the title race. If not, we will be battling for the top 4 and Champions League. If you're not good enough to be playing at this level of football, leave. We don't need you. So basically, I just wanted to make this video to stress that I cannot tolerate this kind of a behavior at my club. I want Sissoko to leave as soon as possible. So yeah, like the video if you agree with me that Sissoko should leave the club, comment if you don't agree with me, and subscribe to my channel for more videos. And I will see you guys soon.